Welcome back, everyone. I am Brian. You are Chords and Notes Nation. You have been invited into my living room for another living room.
Yeah.
I am talking so fast because I'm excited. Why? First of all, you're in my living room. Have a seat. We're going to watch this together. It is a lyrics on screen video, Rush Open Secrets. I'm excited because we have a guest, Greg MacGyver, from the MacGyver lineage of fixing things with inconceivable, obscure objects.
Just what comes to hand.
That's exactly what he does. He solves the world's problems and chews bubblegum at the same time. It's amazing. So, okay, this is now going to be your second exposure to Rush.
Yes.
I heard one of you. Stop it. It is possible. It is possible for someone not to have heard Rush. Why? Because what is your musical background?
I focus a lot on like classical music and emo rock, weird spread, and I just haven't had a lot of time fixing things around the world and that sort of thing to broaden my musical horizons. And so this is kind of something that I have overlooked. Please forgive me. And I'm trying to make my entry into progressive rock. So.
There you go. All right, so this song is off of the album Hold Your Fire, which is from 1987. Now, one of the things with progressive rock, especially with Rush, is they went through different soundscape eras. You listened to Xanadu
Right.
from 1977, so we're going to be taking a 10-year jump. All right, so I want you're going to focus on whatever you're going to focus, but when you're listening to the music, try and take mental note of the differences in sound, okay?
Understood.
The 80s are an era of Rush that, how do I want to navigate this? Extremely loyal Rush fans are going to appreciate every aspect, every era, everything that they did.
Right.
I explained to you a little bit about their internal dynamic as a band.
Right.
Okay, this is that era where and Geddy Lee, the bass player, vocalist, and Alex Lifeson have been best friends since middle school. Okay, and at one point Geddy wanted more synth, which now meant Alex's guitar driven needed
Right.
to get where is he going to exist in this space where there's more synthesizer. Okay, and so he took one for the team and kind of took a step back to let his friend explore his musical direction that he wanted to go. But he is on record as saying, that era, though there's a lot of really great songs that they made, he didn't like the fact that he had to find a different space for, as he says, they're not even real instruments. They're
Right.
synthetic instruments.
Right.
Right. However, what's really cool is when they went through their R30 and R40 anniversary tours, when they brought up some of these songs from that era, when you listen to the live performance, there's a lot less keyboards, and he's now more. His guitar parts aren't different, but now you can hear them more,
Kind of more
and he's
balanced.
more in the front, more organic. Yeah. So, I think it was a very nice. Okay, now we'll do this for you type situation. Anyways, I don't want to get too far off track. 1987, Hold Your Fire. For me, Hold Your Fire. One other reactor has named this album more like the adult contemporary version of Rush.
Okay.
Okay, which was half in jest, but he's kind of right. The lyrical, we chose this because I gave you an option, and you said you wanted the lyrical content. I think, for me, now I started listening to Rush in '87. The first song I ever heard was the song that brought them into America in 1974 was Working Man. And I heard that on the radio. The moment I heard that, I was absolutely addicted. And then I went out and started buying all their cassette tapes.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But and I started with Caress of Steel because it sounded really cool. And then I said, I'm gonna get the most recent one, which was at that time Hold Your Fire, and it was a total different sound for me. But what grabbed me most was the lyrical content of that album, and it will always be that way. It's like your first girlfriend. You may have been broken up and she may be a different past memory, but the impact of that first of anything will always remain. pure. You know what I'm saying? So, and off of that album, this is probably my favorite song.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll understand why, because you
Do
know
it
me
for
well
less
enough.
at Harbor Freight.
You know me well enough at this point. We've only known each other for less than a year, okay? Because he's training me to be his sidekick. But how appropriate. This is from the Rush Lyrics on Screen YouTube channel. I suggest you go there if you want. Rush Lyrics does a great job. Thank you, whoever you are who runs that channel, for doing that for us. This was put up 12 years ago, but obviously the song is much older than that. I know. You said shut up and just play the music. Okay. That's the introduction. Bass on this song is just insane. as it kicks in. 5 minutes and 38 seconds. Such a short song, but still musically jam packed with motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And you described this as the era when the guitarist had to kind of step back, right?
Yeah.
He still fought for his own though. That was one thing that I really noticed is in those instrumentals, in those solos, he cuts right through the synths.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that, the foreground is that synth. It's like you were saying, it's a complete tonal difference from what we listened to earlier this morning. It's very thoroughly 80s, and then he pounds through there with that strong guitar, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
When it comes to lyric analysis, this one hit me. This one hit me a little close to home, to be honest. So, I have struggled in the past with communication in relationships. Even in my current relationship, which is very strong, and we get together very well. Love of my life and all of that. I still find myself struggling because you are in this relationship with someone where you have to be fully open, and if you're not, it causes problems. And like they're saying, it's one of those things where I have to understand you and you have to understand me, and it's that active. It can't be passive.
Right.
And I really appreciated that, where it's it's not rational. It's something that you have to trust.
Yeah.
It is built on trust, and as the title of the song kind of indicates, secrets don't have a place there.
Right.
And sometimes they just brew a kind of poison in a relationship. And I thought that was a very strong sort of place to draw from for inspiration.
So, the irony of the title, Open Secrets.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Genius.
Right.
Genius.
Right.
And so now the lyrical content, here's an intimate 40,000 foot view of the problem.
Right.
Somebody who's seeing it from 40,000 feet, but obviously has a personal vested interest in these communications.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lesson for us all, but it's not preachy. It's saying, here's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's inviting. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't put you on the defensive,
right.
But rather encourages you to act without. Yeah.
And talking about, you could try to understand me, I could try to understand you. What a rational thing to do. Now, when we're talking about intimate relationships with like a man and a woman, and the communication, I don't want to say that, it's the romantic relationships is what I want to say. Okay, because I can have a relationship with my mom, a man and a woman, right? But it's a different kind of relationship. But I think it speaks to any kind of relationship: instructor, student, co-workers, family members, romantic relationships, friendships. It's about this communication and being able to overcome those differences. Excuse me. Different kinds of relationships are going to demand a certain type of, as you said, trust, but a certain type of openness.
Right.
Okay? Based on the proximity to the emotional center of the individual. I don't have to tell my instructor everything about my life.
Right.
I don't have to tell my friends everything about my life, unless they become those select few that I let in.
Right.
Okay? But there's a responsibility in relationships of having this communication, and I think it also, there's another element here. We're talking about the conflicts that arrive in not being open.
Yeah.
Because the lyrics, time will do its healing, you have to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Now this has hit home for me. on many different levels, most especially over the last handful of years as my life has taken on a drastic dynamic change.
Mm-hmm.
And having to overcome all of the things that brought that change, whether it be my fault or the other person's fault. Okay? And I don't want to look at it as fault, but for lack of a better word. Okay? And it is ultimately about when that level of communication is no longer open, that person has abandoned you. That's a whole nother level of you got to deal with that privately. But ultimately, the best thing you can do for your psyche, for your emotions, is to let it go. And let time do what time does best.
Right.
And so now we're talking about a rock band. A rock band who's not singing about sex, drugs, or anything else like that.
You really did bring it back to where we started with this, didn't you?
Right. So this is what I've been telling you off camera and on camera, why they're so endearing to me. In my era, they were commonly known as the thinking man's band.
Right. The refined man's band.
What did we just do? Let's look at this in a basic sense. We listened to a song. That's it. That's all we did. But what did it do? Now we're into this rational discussion about the deeper personal things. And not just...
It can serve a purpose beyond glorifying those easy pleasures of life.
So now music becomes this vehicle of transmitting higher thought and not just emotional states of mind.
As any art is able, and I think as any art should be used for.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of that.
Yeah. Now, when I had a bass guitar, this is one of the songs that I endeavored to learn, and I almost had it down to the very last note. Towards the end, when he started going a little bit on that bass solo type thing, that was a little difficult.
Right.
But unfortunately, I had to sell my bass for reasons I'll tell you off camera, and I have not been able to acquire one again. But when I do, I'm resuming my journey on that because it's just, as far as a bass player, he's a melodic bass player.
Yep.
And if you, there was one thing I wanted before we end this. I didn't want to stop in the middle. I try not to do that, but I'm trying to remember where it was. This interplay between the drums and the bass, this subtlety, because remember the bass is still a rhythmic instrument that works in concert with the drums.
Right.
But the way he plays it, he's a melodic bass player. So not only does he do all those other things that he does, but he needs to balance between rhythm and melody.
Right.
As well. Musical genius? I'm trying to remember. Yes. It should be within this.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that the first time around.
And I'm going to turn it up for the audience. We're going to listen to that part again. So that interplay where he was doing those short punctuated notes on the bass that were, what's the word I want to say? Just what Neil was doing with the hi-hat.
Right. He kind of added his own flourish after that.
And it was just a rhythmic, and it's about that short,
right.
But it was just like, oh my God. All right, let's try that one more time.
That is pretty cool.
Right?
It is pretty cool.
Just all these artistic dynamics, and that's what I'm talking about when it comes to progressive rock.
Right.
You take all of these different dynamics, and if it serves the purpose of the song, you use it. Now, regular rock bands can do that too. You know, that's not like the example of prog.
Right.
Xanadu was.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
2112, when we get to that hemispheres, oh my God.
Yeah.
This guy's about to get his mind blown. Anyways, so that is what I have for Open Secrets. Anything else you want to add to this?
It was transformative. It
Yes.
was good.
Yes.
It is one of those songs that moved me and will move me upon re-listen. And I'm excited to listen again and listen for those details.
He's going to listen to it until that's way home.
Gotta add it.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
for
you
this.
for having me.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please be respectful in the comments. Add anything that you want. Please check out the description box below for ways to support the channel. And if you want to be able to help navigate the musical direction of this ship, Patreon's the place for you. God bless you. Jesus loves you. I will talk to you later.